Hello guys, welcome to On The Play TV. My name is Sebastian and today I'm gonna show you a guide to my build of a Selesnya company deck which I worked on for the last 2.5 months. A lot of time and love went into it and now I'm gonna show you where I ended up with. For me, I played like 400 best of 3s with this deck. I ended up with a 63.5% win rate over 2.5 months. It got me as high as rank 5 in the ladder, but normally I was somewhere between 40 and 200, I think. It's designed to be good against Stunt Sacrifice and aggressive decks like Cruel and Mono Red. These are like the best matchups that you have. It's fine versus Control, not great, but fine. Sometimes it struggles versus Ram, and it has a little bit of a problem versus combo decks, but seeing that there are next to no combo decks in the meta at the moment, I don't think that's too much of a problem. The deck consists mostly of creatures, Llanowells, Luminarch Aspirants, and Oozes as your early drops. The Llanowells are just the most solid rampers in the format, and if you want creature-based rampers, they are the clear first choice. The Luminarch Aspirants are good versus aggressive decks and good in mid-range matchups. They also help you to make your hand cheaper and to buff up creatures like your Luststruck Beasts in a way that decks like Rule, even if they play Embercleave, can't just blow you out and still have to trade. The Oozes are your graveyard interaction versus decks like Arcanist or Giant Sacrifice, and they also can gain you life versus aggressive decks, which also can be valuable. The Tangled Flora Hedron is a card which is in the theme of the deck, seeing that you want to play as many spelllands as possible, so that if you draw them in your starting hand, you can just play a tapped land and your mana works out, but if you draw them later, you have a possibility to potentially trigger your Henge and just get a free other card off of it, or you can hit it with Collected Company if there is nothing better in your 6 cards and you just want to get something. The downside of having to play a tapped land sometimes, I think, is more than balanced out by the potential upsides you have when you draw this card later. Then you have 3 Fairground Wardens and 4 Apparitions as your creature-based interaction. With them you can remove stuff, slow your opponent down, and sometimes even get rid of enchantments or artifacts if you need it with the apparition, while they can also be found off your collected company and trigger your Henge, which is a great upside to any not creature-based interaction which you could run in the deck. 4 Luststruck Beasts, which are just great to get to a great Henge. Sometimes as soon as turn 3 you can deploy your Henge with them if you play Llanowells into Luststruck Beast into Henge. And they are really great versus aggressive decks, like the best card in the format versus Cruel in my opinion, because they just block every attacker till they have an Embercleave. 2 Garruk's Harbingers, which gives you a little bit of value if they actually connect, and if you're the aggressive part in a matchup, and also seeing that black is strong in historic at the moment, just having a card which pressures your opponent and can give you value while black decks can't really interact with it is really valuable. Then you have 3 Cassandra Mammoths, which can also give you a very fast Henge, and you're happy to get them off of a collected company. Getting 2 free frees for 4 mana is absolutely fine. They can pressure your opponent, and if you have them in starting hand and you're lacking mana again, you can just play them as a tapped land. Then 4 collected companies, I don't think I have to say much about that. They can like 80% of the cards in your deck besides the lands. They are really efficient in this deck, and if you can play collected company after you already have a great Henge in play, the value that you get out of it is just insane. 2 Yashans to actually give you some lands if you need them, and also to just shut down any kind of sacrifice interactions. They are one of the big reasons why this deck is so good versus Giant Sacrifice, of course, but it's also nice versus artifact-based decks, which might want to sack a Mind Stone to draw a card, or Goblin decks, where they just want to sacrifice creatures off of their Prospector to get a fast Maxis out, or they might wanna sack a Mind Stone to draw another Goblin. 1 Sky Sovereign Flagship, which is good versus any kind of synergistic creature deck, seeing that you can kill most of the creatures with it if it comes into play, and then most of the time you can just kill a creature every turn when you attack with it. Most decks don't have Artifact Hate in the main deck, so game 1 it's really strong. 3 Myria's Call, which is another spell land, same as with the other lands. If you need it as a land in the early game, it's absolutely fine to play it as a land, but if you are on like turn 6, 7 or 8 and you draw this card, it's just so much better than just drawing a land. It can win you the game, it can break board stalls. Sometimes the flyers can finish a control deck, it just has a lot of upside. 3 henges, which I think is self-explanatory if you're playing Last Strike Beast and Mammoth and a Collected Company. I decided to run 3 of them because I think 4 is a little bit of an overkill. You might be able to get away with 2, but in my experience I think 3 is the correct number. And then you have these 18 lands here. For Temple Gardens, for Sun Petal Groves, for Pathways, to make sure you're actually able to pay all your cards where you need 2 green or 2 white symbols while staying really low at lands. Only having 18 cards in your deck, which aren't spells, is the lowest I ever got with a deck. In the sideboard you have 4 Baffling Hands if you're the defending deck or you're playing with a synergistic based creature decks. In that case, if you play versus goblins or elves or Selesnya angels, just taking away the card which enables always synergy and makes the whole game work is really, really strong. One Archon of Emeria, simply to shut down combo decks and aura decks. If an aura deck can't cast more than 1 card per turn, for example, they just won't have a chance. And also with control decks it's fine because all their lands come in tapped and you can delay stuff like board wipes. One Night of Autumn, good against artifact and enchantment based decks, but also great versus Cruel, for example, seeing that if you really need it, it can gain you 4 life, but it could also kill an Embercleave, which anything else in the deck can't really deal with. 2 Questing Beasts if you play have a beatdown deck versus a control deck and they play Planeswalkers, then of course the Questing Beast is just great. 2 Shifting Ceratops. I bought these instead of 2 Authority of Councils, which I ran earlier. The Authorities were more designed to beat decks like Goblins and Cruel, which are aggressive, have many haste creatures, and you need to shut them down. But at the moment in the metagame there is much more Azorius control than there are Goblin decks or Ghoul decks, at least in my experience, so I decided to shift that. And having a card which can't be countered, has protection from their interaction, and can have haste is just very, very valuable there. A third Yasharn for the Junt matchup. Basically that's the only time you bring that in, but when it's great, it's really great. 2 Elgargoros for a matchup versus aggressive decks. It's great versus Cruel, it's great versus Red if you need it or if you need to block with it. And 2 Vivian Monster Advocates, which are there versus control decks. Seeing that if you can resolve it, it's very hard for a control deck to deal with additional 3/3 every turn. And it can also be good in mid-range or mirror matches where you feel like you're not fast enough and you have to grind your opponent out. So that's the deck list. I'm not sure if it's 100% perfect yet, of course, but as I said, the results for me have been great. And now I'm gonna show you guys some ladder games, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we go once again, back to a ladder, back to showcasing this deck for you guys. I'm not quite sure where I'm standing at the moment, but I think I'm gonna find out pretty soon. Okay, still in the top 100, which of course is nice. Now if I go for 4 games and I win them all, I think I'd be pretty happy. Loot with Spell Chase, huh? That's interesting. I'm not quite sure what to make of this, to be honest. And it's an overgrown tomb with Lutri. I'm kinda lost here. Here comes the blue. Of course I here just play the ooze, trying to be mana efficient. Control isn't the best matchup for this deck, but on the other side, we don't exactly know what he's playing yet. If he plays a second Black Source here, yep, I kinda have to be afraid about board wipes, which sucks. Gonna go for the right mana here, attack in. And now the question is, do I play around the board wipe? If it's an extinction event, the Last Struck Beast would be a good play, and if it's a language, the Last Struck Beast also would be a good play. It can't attack at the moment, but it threatens a Great Henge next turn, which I think is good enough to actually go for it. He might have the Saga, which can kill my Henge. Main deck, I don't know. I don't know the list. Kinda in the dark, Blast Zone. And a Fractast, okay. Not great, but also not the end of the world. I just go for the henge. End my turn. Now if he can't remove the henge, I might be able to outvalue him here. E to extinction. And he actually ships that away, which means he kinda has to have enough removal here so that he doesn't care. Takes Lutri into hand. Now of course I'm gonna exile cards from his graveyard, simply to slow down his search for his counter. If I can keep that from actually flipping, that would be very good for me. I go for Vimeria's Call here. Seems like the strongest play. If he counters it, he counters it. I can't really do anything about it. But at the moment I don't want to commit even more to the board. And I get it resolved, which is nice. And let's see what he's gonna do with his Lutri. He's still far away from flipping his Escanta, which is good for us. Now I see things like an eliminate on my angel, playing Lutri, eliminating the other angel, something like that, which is still kind of fine. Wow, okay. That was a strong play. Thankfully, I have another hand in hand. Gonna take in with my angel, of course. And there was the first misplay. I should have gone for the last drug beast talk and attack in with the last drug beast too. Now I could have gotten rid of a card in his library. It's still early in the morning and I'm not playing the way I'm supposed to here. It kinda sucks. Now he's in ultimatum range, which also of course is a big problem. But I don't see him having 3 green sources, so I don't think he can cast it at the moment. Okay, Mastermind's Acquisition, that is scary. Could be a green source, could be an ultimatum, could be an other causalities of war. Or Maelstrom Pulse to get rid of that thing. I think I'm supposed to go aggressive here. I'm expecting him to trade here. Yep. Takes the trade, gets a 3-3, which isn't great, but it's also not the end of the world. And now I'm gonna remove his Escanta before it flips. And end my turn. I'd be really surprised if he attacks here. I get rid of the task. And now an untapped mana would be great. 2 removal spells? Yeah. I can play the Last Drug Beast, which holds back his attackers, or I can play an Harbinger, but a Harbinger will just trade. Which isn't that great at the moment, so I think I'm just going for the Last Drug Beast and ending my turn. Still waiting for it one land. Okay. I think there's a combo with that card, but I can't remember what it is. But yeah. Still looks like we have a beatdown here, nothing changed about that. Gonna attack with the Last Drug Beast. He jumps, okay. And I think now it's just play Villano Wealth. The Harbinger still isn't that good. And the Skyclave Apparition can't remove a token, so now he can get rid of his Blast Zone and kill the Villano Elf, but it's fine. Gets a charge counter, okay. But he wants to do that. I'm kinda happy. To be honest, I think I'm casting the hand here. So I don't have any more of these in the deck. No, I'm kinda expecting him to blow up his Blast Zone. Yep. Gets rid of these two. No blocks. Okay. And plays an Ashiok. Which of course isn't nice for us. Good thing is he can get rid of the token instantly without doing anything, and if he doesn't have a removal spell for our Skyswan's flagship, we can kill the Ashiok next turn. Or he can also bounce our flagship. Or he has a binding. Works both, I guess. That is a really strange deck. It really is a strange deck. Could use the apparition to get rid of a murderous rider, but it wouldn't even really screw up his blocks. On the other hand, he didn't really play any other creatures which I can get rid of with this, so yeah, why not? Just go for it. No attacks, but I think I'm losing that game to the Ashiok, to be honest. Yeah, no, this is over. Game 1 to our opponent. So seems to me like I don't need the Yashans, I don't really need the Fairgrounds ones. I think I want the Trillions. Didn't really saw enchantments besides the Aura, so I don't really want to bring in the Knight of Autumn. I want to bring in the Archon of Emeria. I want to bring in the 2 Cresting Beasts. The question is, do I want the Shifting Ceratops? And if so, for what? I think they might be better than the Skyclave Apparitions, to be honest. Kinda makes our collected companies weak, but still think it is right. I think that's a keep. 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. Seems nice. Not much to say here. Just trying to curve out. Next turn I think I'm gonna deploy the Harbinger over the Last Dark Beast, thinking that it has Hexproof. Place an Explore, which gives him a potential board wipe next turn, but we didn't saw a single board wipe game 1, and he still lacks the second Black Source, so I think I'm just gonna risk it and go for it. Trying to apply the pressure here. Our way would have been to go for the fast henge, but he has so much removal against the henge that I'm not really sure if it's worth it. There comes the second black mana and now the board wipe, I guess. Of course he has it now. That sucks. I just go for a Questing Beast to hold up the pressure. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get removed, but I think I kinda have to here. Yeah, that's my play. Next turn I can drop the Aspirant, buff up the Lost Struck Beast, play the henge. Wow. Yeah, and that totally beats the idea of going for the henge, of course. Now I feel like I just have to go all in here. If he has another board wipe, he has another board wipe, but I don't really see myself having a choice here. If he has it, I just lose. If he doesn't, I might still have a chance. Plays an Opt, goes bottom, I like to see that. Now with 1 mana of Crystallities of War. And he has an extinction event. Nice. Never didn't have it. That's a great top deck. I mean, if I play it, he's just gonna use Casualties of War, but then I'm one haste creature away from winning the game. Sad as it is, I think I have to play the Vivian. Sucks. Yeah. If he plays the Casualties now, which I think he's gonna do, I still do 3 damage next turn, deploy another creature, and he's still under pressure. We're getting kinda close here. Yep. I don't understand why he killed the token, to be honest. But I don't think I have to understand, so... Here I'm gonna buff up the Mammoth to make it proof against Heartless Eggs and the expertise, saying that the Spirant next turn is a lethal threat anyways. Okay, that's a Maelstrom Pulse, sucks, and a Fae of Wishes. Yep. Yep, Questing Beast. Really sucks for us. Now I kinda need a Questing Beast of my own. Or a Shifting Ceratops. I definitely don't need a Llanowar Elf. Can't attack here, because I need to deploy the Henge. It's the only way I see myself chaining into something which can still win. It's really unlikely, but at least it's a line. He attacks. I'm taking that trade. I only have 2 white sources, which is kinda sad. Seeing that if I draw an Apparition here, it kinda locks me out of playing the Spirant. Or not. Now I could go remove the Fae of Wishes to apply more pressure, or I could remove the Gravedigger's Cage to unlock my collected companies, but he might have a second Gravedigger's Cage, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna draw the collected companies, so I go for the Fae. If he just gets it back to hand, visibility, I'm super happy. Means he discards 2 cards, totally fine with me. Now he has to jump block with Lutri. Oh, not jump block, that's the wrong word. He has to block with Lutri against my Llanowar Elf. And then I'm guessing he gets himself a board wipe. But it's kind of fine, seeing that I will have Vivian and Tension play after that, so... All good with me. There comes the block. Yep. So that's an upside, I guess. And gets a board wipe, like I thought he would. But that's totally fine. I now just play my Vivian, get my beast creature, which of course won't be able to attack next, or will be able to attack next turn, but the Fae of Wishes will kinda hold it off. And the Gravedigger's Cage definitely makes my Vivian weaker, which is kinda sad, but I still have one more draw of the Last Struck Beast. I can make a 3/3. I think I'm still in the game. Wow. That was kinda brutal. But I can chain together some plays here, thanks to the Henge. And I think this isn't looking too bad now. Next turn I can play Ooze and Ceratops, and then attack in, so if he doesn't have a board wipe right now, I think I just win. I mean, that's not great, but it's definitely better than Facilities of War. Gonna go for the Ceratops first. Draw a card. Gonna go for Views. Draw a card. And now, to be honest, I don't think I want to play the Mammoth because I want the Ceratops to attack. And at this point, I think it should be game. I mean, he will survive that turn, and maybe even the next, but the advantage we are getting is getting bigger and bigger. Okay. That's right, and I think I want to kill the 4/4. He lost both anyway, so even better for me. I don't think I'm gonna commit another card to the board. I don't think it's necessary at the moment. Yeah, that's game number 2. Nice. So we were able to grind him out. Now I could bring in Knight of Autumn simply to get rid of his Grave Digger's Cages, and I could play it instead of an Apparition. There are just no targets for the Apparition. I mean, okay, a Murderous Rider and a Fair of Wishes, but that's not really worthwhile. Then I could bring in our Ceratops. It kind of performed good the last game, but then I have to water down my CoCos even more, which I'm not sure if it's the right call. He didn't even play any counter spells, did he? So the Ceratops is kind of a finisher. It might even be worth it to have another Apparition to be able to get rid of those cages over the Ceratops. Even though it performed well that game, I think it's not really the matchup where you want it. That's not a great hand, but I guess with some okay draws could be fine. So my opponent, what does he have in form of removal? He has Facilities of War, he has Maelstrom Pulse, he has Ritual of Thought, he has Chinese Expertise, and he has Extinction Event. Enter the God Eternals, E to Extinction, Swift End, Binding of the Old Gods. Basically every second card in his deck is removal, so that's kinda tough. Gets the Fourth Season, phones me. Gets rid of the Henge, okay. Seems like the value last game. Kinda made him do that. I mean, he did miss a land drop, which of course I love to see, no question about that. Here I'm gonna go all in on this Aspirant. Reason number 1 is that he does the damage this turn. Reason number 2 is that if he plays Chinese Expertise, this Aspirant is now out of range. If he missed an other land drop here, that would be so nice for us. But he didn't. Okay. And like, wow, yeah, okay. I'm gonna play Collected Company in his end step anyways, seeing that he doesn't have any counter spells till now. I don't think there's any reason in playing out the Lovestruck Beast. And now seriously, he's just drawing lands. He gets stuck on lands and eventually draws 2 lands in a row. I guess I wanted 2 Mammoths. It's a little bit less damage, but still, if I draw a land, it's just sick. Going in for 6, playing a Lava. I'm playing a token. Now, of course, another board ride would really get to me. But if it's extinction event, at least Velano Wells to rise. Seems like he kept a really greedy hand, but then he got lucky and just drew 2 lands off the top. Okay. They're gonna attack first. He just takes it, and now I kinda wanna play around Casualties of War. And I think playing Alagagorov kinda plays around that. That move was just insane. That's a slow play? Heartless Act comes to mind. Oh, now he gets the Casualties of War, okay. But it might... Okay, with that it's not too slow, basically. So that way he has to jump. I think I just want more pressure here. I could also draw a card, but... So if I now play the Vivian and make a token, and he plays Casualties of War, he loses. Yeah, seems like a play to me. And if my other guy with attacks one more time, I think he also loses. So just overloading the board here might have been the right call. That gives him 5 life, which kinda sucks. I can play with Spirant. Make another 3/3. Play the Llanowar off the top. Play another Llanowar off the top. So let's just go on with everything. Now I think I can play around the board right. And I got it, nice. It wasn't like the best performance ever, but we got there. Let's see what we get this time. That's a keepable hand. We need like 1 more land. Gonna play the forest here turn 1 to give my opponent the least information possible. And it seems like we're playing versus the Rectors or Giant Sacrifice deck, which doesn't play a Giganta, which is interesting. I'm not sure what to expect here. Might be a list that is a little bit more controlling than what you normally see out of Rectors. Priest of the Forgotten Gods, okay, that's fine. Here gonna play the Fairgrounds Warden to stop any 1 or 2 drop into claim the first one shenanigans. Just buff up my creatures, apply pressure, go for more damage. We just need 1 more land for our collected company. We can play the Garruk's Harbinger, we can play the Lovestruck Beast. So I guess everything is fine. Gonna go into combat first. Be a Spirant, gonna attack in. Of course he's gonna block with a goat and sack it. Yeah, that's fine. We have to get rid of it at some point anyways. And now I'm just gonna play the Harbinger. If he has to claim the firstborn, we can jump with a 1/1 so that he doesn't get the card, that if he doesn't have it, applying a good amount of pressure. Or Raska, okay. If he kills the Aspirant here, we can get rid of the Raska. If he kills the Fairgrounds Warden, I think we still can get rid of it, so fine. Play land tapped. And attack into the Raska with our Harbinger and the 1/1. I think he's gonna block the Harbinger here. Yep, does that. We trade. Raska dies. Now we can just play views. We don't need to remove the Ghost Rider yet. We can wait to see what he plays. There's a Trail of Crumbs. Not ideal, but also fine. Shocks himself. Now he has still 3 mana. And I'm not quite sure what the 3 mana are for here. Anyways, gonna get rid of the Ghost Rider so that it can't come back later. Can't play Collected Company, so I'm just attacking with those two. He takes the damage. And now I'm just holding up my Collected Company here for his end step. Could have seen it coming, but we're fine with that. That just means that he still hasn't developed the sport. If he plays the dragon, which name I'm constantly forgetting here, we might have a little problem. If he plays anything else, I think we're fine. Another trail of crumbs. That's kinda nice. I'm gonna take those two. Gonna get rid of the witch's oven, gonna get rid of the goose, and yeah, he just scoops. Now we get rid of every creature in our deck with 1 toughness, seeing that we want to avoid the pings from main devils. We definitely want the baffling ants to get rid of his synergistic pieces like priest and the main devil and the roast rider. Bring in the Knight of Awesome. I definitely want the 3rd year charm, and I think I want the Gargaroth over the Vivian, seeing that Vivian tokens can be very bad against Claim the Firstborn, and she also can get pinged down way easier than the Gargaroth. We can't keep that hand. The mulligan is more or less for free since we don't even need 2 hands. That's a good hand. Gonna ship the Maria's Core. No, we just need some creatures. We have interaction, which is important. We have lands, we have a Collected Company. It's not a hand that applies pressure very good, but it's at least a hand which can take away his first pieces in the early game. Now here I'm going for a Baffling Ant and a 1/1 token. They sometimes play Reclamation Sage, but if they use it to get rid of a Baffling Ant, that's not the worst in the world, which can catch you off guard and make game 1 very weird, because if you don't see it coming, you might play into it. There's the main devil, followed by Witch's Oven. Okay. Now again, I'm gonna go for right mana. And in this case, I think I want to be as mana efficient as I can to potentially double spell next turn. So if I use my Skyclave Apparition, gonna sack his goat and kill my 1/1, but I think he's gonna do that anyways, even if I play the Baffling Ant, so it doesn't really matter. Important is that the main devil's gone. Yep, kills my 1/1, but his board is cleared off. Gilded Goose isn't really a problem. Together with another main devil, it kinda sucks for us, to be honest, but still. He doesn't have enough mana to actually sacrifice a clue, so he can only sacrifice 1 creature to his oven, which means my apparition is safe. I can just get rid of a main devil. Play my Lovestruck Beast, and if he doesn't do anything here, I can actually play my Henge next turn. Would be great. And if I draw another land, I can even play Henge into Collected Company, which is like the best turn in the deck. It's just so much value. First I'm gonna play my Henge. He plays Noxious Squares, which is totally okay with us. Now I could play a second Lovestruck Beast to use all my mana, but I think I want to 1/1, so that I'm able to attack this turn. I get life anyways if he tries to raise me, and I can play Company and Lovestruck Beast next turn, which could draw me up to 3 cards. And I think again this game is looking quite nice. Makes a food token. I might have blocked and then made a food token. He just wants to take the damage, which is also understandable, seeing that he has like 12 life in food here. Doesn't even attack, which is interesting. I take the life, go into my combat step, attack in with the Lovestruck Beast and be ready for Collected Company by him. Doesn't play Collected Company, which is interesting. Maybe just sacks his 3/3 for an hour food token. Now I'm just gonna deploy my second Lovestruck Beast, hold up company, and take the game from there. This is again looking really, really good. He kind of got flooded here, which is unfortunate for him. He drew like 5 spells and 6 lands. It's hard to operate on that basis. Eats 2 food, goes back up to 20. Now I'm gonna play my company just to get the cards and the pressure going. I didn't want to see a Fairgrounds one here. I'd like to have that one for a dragon, but it's enough that he just leaves the game. Down to rank 31. Nice. So let's push on. Last month I closed at like rank 34 in the ladder, but I actually couldn't get into the top 10 at any point. I kind of finished at my high point. On the play, and that isn't a great hand, but it's also not too bad. I can play Landgraf Elf turn 2, together with a tapped mana, then shop myself and play a Charm. I actually think that's good enough. We seem to play versus Cool, which kind of makes it unlikely that this Landgraf Elf lives, but maybe it does. Yep, there's Bone Crusher. That was kind of what I expected here, to be honest. I think I want to play it safe, especially because life is valuable in this matchup. Just gonna play the Spyro and buff it up. Explore, so it's big Cool, which is interesting. So now I kind of have to be on my toes here. Could already be... Why am I so bad with names? Glorybringer next turn. See what he has here. Escape to the wilds, okay. And raking the trolls. Yeah, I think that's the charm. Getting my lands. It's important to make my land drops versus raking the trolls, of course. And now I could play another Spyrant. Just get my second Spyrant out of the range for a Smoldering Sun. Apply more pressure. And he's down to 8. So I think this isn't looking bad. Yeah, there comes the Smoldering Sun. But now he needs like 2 more removal spells to actually stay in the game. Maybe he has another Smoldering Sun. But I think I had to try here. Okay, he has a Shadow Skull Smashing, which of course also is great for him. I'm 1 mana off actually playing the Harbinger and the Collected Company. So I think I'm just keeping up the company. There's a Lotus Cobra, which of course we don't like to see. Still at 7 mana. Wow, okay. That's kind of brutal. Now he even can still play the Bone Crusher Giant. Doesn't attack here, which of course is the right call. I think he knows I have a Collected Company. And I get a Lovestruck Beast, which is kind of useless. I think I have to attack. Just gonna trade here, which isn't nice, but nothing I can really do about it. Play the Harbinger. Play Muse. And end my turn. And now I'm kind of with my back against the wall. Okay. That's not the worst thing that could happen here. Now I it depends what he still has in his hand. Doesn't seem like anything. And now with a little bit of luck, I just won game number 1. Yeah, doesn't seem like he has interaction here. Can get rid of the Cobra. Buff up my ooze. And it's game number 1. So here again, we are the beatdown deck. I don't really need the apparitions from everything that I saw here. They are bad versus the Bone Crushers. They don't really do that much. I can bring in an Archon, I can bring in 2 Questing Beasts. I think Vivian is fine. And maybe just play Bird of Autumn. If it has a target, it's great. If not, it's just a 3 mana 4/3. That's a great hand. Gonna keep that every time. My opponent mulligans to 5. Yep, goes down to 5. Now I, of course, expect the Bonecrusher Giant on my Llanowar Elf, like every time. Actually not. It's great. Just gonna play Lovestruck Beast, apply as much pressure as possible as I possibly can. It also doesn't die to Smeltering Suns, which is nice. Plays Chandra. Gonna get rid of the Llanowar Elf, okay. Gonna play Tapland here. Play my Spirant. Buff up the Lovestruck Beast because this Spirant dies to his removal anyways. Kill the Chandra. Can't do anything here. I just go into combat, buff up the Lovestruck Beast, attack with both, and keep up the Collected Company. Okay, that only gave me 5 places. We're on the play with a hand we can't keep here. That's way better. Gonna keep that one. And I think I'm shipping the Henge. Starting off with Llanowar, of course. This is either Rector's Arcanist or Order of Auras. Having a Fairgrounds Warden is quite important, and it is Auras, which starts with an Aspirant. Which I guess I don't really have to remove this turn. Seeing that if he plays a payoff, he won't have enough mana to actually protect it with his outside, and if he just plays an Aura and an other outside, I can just play my Fairgrounds Warden then. He plays the Spirit Dancer, and now I'm quite happy that I raided with my Fairgrounds Warden. Gonna get rid of the Spirit Dancer, attack it with the Llanowar. But now I kind of need to draw some ammunition here. He has another Spirit Dancer, which of course is a problem. Buffs it up, it's not afraid of removal, which is really greedy move. So here I think I'm going for a Charm to thin out my deck. And I won't play the 1/1 from the Lovestruck Beast, seeing that I don't want him to know that I don't have access to removal here. But this is looking kind of tough. The Hushbringer could lock us out of the game like instantly. Shocks himself here, which is kind of interesting. And of course he has another payoff creature, which is just kind of unlucky. Now of course he draws cards for days and we kind of have lost here. Seeing his first strike and Vigilance. Okay. But no lifelink. He keeps up the Ulset, which means kind of screwed here. Gonna play a Jump Blocker. End my turn. Gets rid of my Fairgrounds Warden, gets his third pair of creatures back. I don't see us coming back from this. That draw was just too strong. But now he taps out. Even though he is extremely greedy here once again and doesn't leave up his protection with the Alset, he kind of gets rewarded for it. Takes the first strike one because we actually can't to death, so I'm just gonna block with a Lana Valve, get my mana off of it, buff up my ooze. I don't think it will matter, but still. Let's try to play the most efficient game we can here. Should have another mana here. Oh, I already played one, it seems like. No, I'd need the second collected company. Don't get it, but it wasn't realistic anyway, so yeah. And I can't attack. I think now he's gonna play like 2 more equipments on the Score Spirit Dancer, give him protection from green, just attack me directly and I lose the game. Another Orbit glitters, draw 3 more cards. At this point, basically I could leave, but of course I'm gonna play it out here. There's a dead rate. I don't have to react to that. But it also of course buffs up his creatures which actually have the Orbit glitters on them. And he spreads the dead rates just to draw as many cards as possible and buff up his creatures, which totally makes sense. I'm kind of surprised that he's playing that well now, because leaving up his Spirit Dances 2 times was just so greedy and unnecessary that I was kind of sure he wasn't a good player, but maybe he just thought the risk was worth the reward. I can block this one dead, I guess. Can block here. Yeah, well, I'm not coming back from this anyways. Let's let it happen. Then again now, one lucky collected company and I could still be in the game. It's not a collected company. I think I can go up to enough life to maybe survive the next turn. Might be possible. He just taps out every time, which I really can't understand. He just needs 1 mana on his outside to lock the game up. Even though, to be honest, he still has the Kaya's ghost form, so one would survive anyways. He just would lose all the auras on it. Yeah, well, I could attack in, but he just jumps and I lose on the backswing, so there's a Sentinels, and that should be game. Taps out again, like no worries in the whole world. Okay, at least 1 mana up. Flying? No, not flying. So yeah, have to jump block here. It's not often that I see a deck like this combo off that hard. So I definitely want the Baffling Hands, I definitely want the Archon. I think I might want the Knight. I definitely don't want the Chance. I don't think the Aspirants are really good in this matchup. He's gonna bring in Hushbringers. So yeah, I think this configuration is fine. But also his draw was just insane, so we might have better chances in game 2 and 3. Even though after he brings in the Hushbringer as a counter to all the Fairgrounds Wardens and apparitions, the Skyclave apparitions that we have, and the Henge, it's kinda hard to compete with that. That's fine. The Archon could be really good here, but also I'm kind of afraid that if I just play it, that he's gonna come up with a Maya's Grasp and instantly remove it. I mean, if he can't, it kind of wins the game. But if he can, it's just very painful. Shocks himself for 2. Mugi's Favor. Oh, Fortsies, man, that hurts. Doesn't even take the Archon, which is interesting. So I think he has a Maya's Grasp here. But what am I supposed to do? I have to try it. His land comes untapped. Kind of slows him down. Now if we play draw a Luminarch Aspirant, that would be really, really good. We don't, but it's still fine. I play this one tapped. And he realizes his mistake, but he should have gone for the Archon, I guess. Getting rid of that card. So that if he Maya's Grasp next turn, at least he doesn't get a card out of it. That way it won't be enough, and he can't play another card, so I guess we're kind of fine here. Again, it's not great, but still. Plays a Spirit Dancer, which is totally fine, because he can't play anything else this turn. The Archon just really fucking him up here. Now we're gonna buff up my Ooze, of course. Play with land tapped. Play the Apparition. And try to just continually beating him down here. Now he finally gets rid of the Archon, which has another scram. But I think it's already too late here, to be honest. Nice, but it was kind of as good as it gets in that matchup. Didn't see a Hushbringer, so we still could hope that he actually doesn't have it. That game was just won by the Archon, and we had so much removal. It was just a perfect storm, basically, like he had in game 1. But now for the deciding game, he's gonna be on the play. It really makes a huge difference in this matchup. And our hand isn't good. But it's also too good to not keep it. He doesn't have a turn 1 play, which, of course, I'm pretty happy about. Plays Scrum, okay. And yeah, we're just one turn too slow here. Which is basically the norm if you're on the draw and they have it. Now, if he can't draw protection or doesn't have a Kaya's Ghost form, we still might be in the game. Cartouche is fine. Now say it would be a problem or Ghost form. Everything else is kind of fine. It takes in. I won't block here. If he wants to remove my 1/1, he has to do it somehow else. He has 2 cards up, which means he could have a protection spell here. It even is kind of likely, but I have to go for it. I don't really have a choice. And it actually works. And we still have a collected company, so if he only has 1 more threat here, and we get a little bit lucky of a collected company, this game might still be ours. Has another scram. Dead rate, draws a card, gets a 3/3, but a 3/3 isn't really the problem here. It's even just a 2/2. What am I talking about? Sorry guys. And now I just need a Lucky Collected Company. Yep, and I'd say that's a Lucky Collected Company. Removes the scram and gives me henge next turn. I can't really ask for anything more. Other dead rate, which is also fine. As long as he can't play a payoff, we're totally happy. Of course, he still has lures, and still is a massive problem, but we draw a Baffling End. This is of course really good here. Now we can play the henge. And the Garrick's Harbinger. Get a second removal spell. And this is looking quite nice, to be honest. It's not over yet by any means, but we're applying some pressure. And if he doesn't have a land in hand and just plays lures and a scram, he can't even play a scram, of course. I removed them. Plays a Maya's Grasp, okay. Gets rid of my creature, which of course is good for him. I have 8 mana, which is enough to do everything here. You have to be careful not to play the Archon first, of course. Seeing that it will shut down the rest of your turn. We get rid of the lures. We get rid of 1/2/2 so that he can't block the Harbinger. Even though that's greedy, I think that's the point in the game where I just want to end it. Where I want to apply the pressure and get that far ahead that he can't come back anymore. Play the Archon, draw another card, we get another Baffling End, and that should be it. He jumps with a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, which I don't get, but fine with me. Archon is out of Maya's Grasp range, so whatever he plays here, if it's a payoff, I can remove it. I can even remove a Hushbringer. So that was a really, really good run for me. So guys, here we go again. Lost like 7 rings since yesterday, but let's see if we can just win and get them back. So let's see if we can ride that mental edge to victory in the next game. We're on the play with a hand we can't keep. Happens. With a hand which is not great, but okay I guess. Gonna get rid of an ooze. And now I'm just gonna hope that I don't get Thoughtseize turn 1, because if I now get Thoughtseize and they take away the Maria's Call, I'm in a world of hurt. But I don't think I can mulligan to 5 with his hand, so it kinda plays itself here. Could be an Elf deck, could be a Cruel deck, I'm not quite sure, but if it's a Cruel deck, I don't really want to shock myself, and I don't really have something which gets enabled by 2 white mana at the moment. So even if I draw it next turn, I won't have 2 white mana anyway, so I think I'm just fine here playing the forest into the ooze, attacking in for 1. And look what my opponent is up to. And it is Cruel, okay. Which is nice, it's a good matchup. Now I'm expecting a Bone Crusher, yep. Which is fine, it's not great, but it's fine. Now of course I'm gonna shock myself to get in the Last Strike Beast and hope for an untapped land next turn to unlock my henge. And if I can play the henge next turn, they normally don't have a break before sideboard in the deck, so I think if we can do that, we kinda win on the spot. Sadly we can't. So I'm just gonna play the Fairgrounds Warden, remove the Bone Crusher, attack in for 6, begin clocking him. And now I just hope to avoid Collected Company. If he plays anything else in the Collected Company here, I'm quite happy, but he seems to have it. Kinda sucks. But yeah, at least you can deploy the henge, which definitely helps. The pause here tells me he has a Collected Company, so I won't attack in with the Last Strike Beast. I will just stay back, try to avoid getting damaged too much next turn, even though if he has company into Embergleaf, could get tough of course, but if he doesn't have that, I think we're still fine. If I can play my own Collected Company with an henge up next turn, we should have a great advantage over him. Also I can just keep my ooze up. and remove whatever he takes off his Clovis next turn so that I don't get damaged. Here I think I'm attacking in. He might have a second company, but if he has it, it is what it is. If he gets he has a second company, okay. Now, if it's enough to actually activate the Clovis, I might have to use my company before blockers. If it isn't, if he blocks here, it's just a 2-for-1 for me, which I'm fine with, so I'm just holding up the company and chill. I have 7 mana, which means I can play the Llanowar Elf, still remove the card he targets with Clovis, which in this case only can be one of his collected companies. And then when he attacks, I'm gonna go for my own company. I'm 1 mana short of actually playing the Apparition and my own company, which is kinda sad, but yeah, I think it's fine. I could remove the Clovis here, but I don't think I really have to. Just gonna deny him the life drain with my ooze. The trigger fizzles. And now whatever he does, I can respond with my own company, which of course is great. Plays Harbor of a Ridge, which activates his Clovis. Still could have an Embercleave here, which of course sucks. But if he only attacks with Clovis, that's not very likely, of course. Gonna play those two guys, see what I draw. And now actually I don't even think I have to jump block here. I think I'm still fine. He might have a company. If I block with my 1/1, I lose the attack on my Lovestruck Beast, but I may not even need it. And if I block with my Llanowar, I might not be able to double spell next turn. Yeah, I'm able to double spell anyways, so yeah, just gonna block with a Llanowar. Kills it. I'm gonna use my mana to buff up my ooze, get alive. And I think everyone thinks looking good here. I even get a white mana, so now I can just remove enough of his board that Clovis is no longer active. Which I guess is quite a big deal here. He seems to have Bonecrusher Giant, which sucks a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. Just gonna play the Apparition here, don't really need the enchant, just wanna clear out his board and force him to jump block. Now I move to attack. I want him to have to jump block with all his creatures, which I guess should be kinda easy. He could have another collected company here, but even then if his Clovis comes back, I'm not really that screwed, I guess. Having a third collected company here would be kinda hard on me, won't lie about that. But I still think I'm far enough ahead that I can actually attack him with everything. And he has a third collected company, okay. This is like the best draw which he possibly could have, but still I think we're winning. Gets 2 brawlers, which is fine. Still would have to double block my ooze to actually trade. Now I could not empty all graveyards to make his Clovis useless for next turn, which means there's actually no point in using my ooze, and yeah, doesn't matter. He also sees it. Now, as always, we want Knight of Autumn, we want 2 Albert Argoros, and we want to 4 Baffling Ants. I don't really think we need the Aspirants. Definitely don't need the Chance. And then we have 1 more cut to make. Maybe even cutting both Harbingers is better here, seeing that I think he's gonna bring in a Braids, counter my Henge, and if I don't play the Harbingers, I can play the Aspirants, even though they are weak versus the Bonecrusher Giants. But I guess it's still a serviceable card. And let's go for game 2. Not a perfect hand, but I think it's serviceable, it's good enough. We have a lot of removal. which is nice. Now he may just ramp out a cool Spellbreaker. Did he actually keep a one-lander here? Okay, that's so greedy. But normally I would kill the Voltaic Brawler, but seeing that he only kept one land here, of course I'm gonna remove Lano Elf and hope that he whiffs on a land and the game is basically over on the spot. Would be great. Goes in for 4 damage, and that's his turn. Yeah, and basically I think this game is already over. Now just go for the Fairgrounds Warden, so that he can't come back with a Stomp here. If he has an Abrade and he draws a mana, of course we have a problem, but you can't pay around everything. And that's 2-0, like, he kept a very greedy hand here, he had to take some risk in that matchup, he's far behind me in like every metric, so... So here you guys can see the deck once more, with a sideboard. I'm at the end of this video now. If you liked it, I would very much appreciate it if you guys could leave a like on the video and maybe even subscribe to the channel. It would really help with the motivation for me and Niklas to make more content here. I also want to shout out Baran. You can find him in the MTGA forums and on Twitter under the tag Big Paranoia. He was the one who showed me this deck or another build of the deck like back in the end of December, and I took the base which he worked on and developed it to this. He's a great dude and he definitely deserves some credit here, so I wanted to say that. And yeah, I hope some of you guys think about picking this deck up, and I wish you guys great success with it if you do. And at the moment I'm writing a sideboard guide for it, so if you would like to have that, just write me in the comments and I'm gonna give it to you. I wish you all a good day and hope to see you soon again.